everyone, my name is Marah, and today's case is about Brittney Wood, who was only 19 years old when she went missing from Mobile, Alabama in 2012. And just a quick reminder before I get started, that I always try to do the best research and get the most accurate information I can for every single case that I cover. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into today's video. Brittney Nicole Wood was born on September 25th of 1992 to her mom, Chessie Wood. Her and her mom had a very close relationship. She also has a younger brother and an older brother. She was said to love kids, and when she was 17 years old, she gave birth to a daughter named Peyton. Her daughter's dad is named Andy, and it was said that him and Brittney did not have the best relationship. They fought a lot, and it said that Andy was very abusive towards Brittney. Brittney was also molested at a very young age by her maternal grandma's boyfriend. And on May 28th of 2012, Brittney and her cousin were messaging back and forth. Her cousin said, "I told on Daddy for what he done to me." Brittney said back, "What did he do? Who else did what?" She said, "Daddy, Scott, Dustin, they all raped me." Then 2 days later, on May 30th of 2012, Chessie said it was around 7:30 p.m. when she walked out into their yard, and Brittney followed behind her with a tote full of her clothes. Chessie asked her, "Where are you going? I thought we had plans." But Brittney responded with, "I just don't think you'd understand, Mom," and started to walk down the road, and that's when she tells her mom that she will be back. Chessie also said that Brittney had mentioned earlier to her that she might go hang out with her friend Courtney, so she assumed that that was who was coming to pick her up. But who actually picked her up at the end of their road is a man named Donnie Holland, and he was married to Chessie's sister, whose name is Wendy Holland, so this made him Brittney's uncle. Donnie was described as very friendly, charismatic, and very outgoing. Some of the family said, though, Donnie loved Brittney, but almost in a weird way. But this night, Brittney gets into Donnie's SUV, and they drive to where he's staying with a friend in Styx River. Throughout this day, Brittney had called and texted friends like normal. One friend that she talked to, his name is Bradley, and she also talked to Peyton's dad, Andy. But all communication stopped on May 30th of 2012 at 11:30 p.m. By 11:36 p.m., all phone calls that were coming in were going straight to voicemail. Her phone pinged for the last time at 1:47 p.m. on May 31st, and it pinged from a tower that was actually closer to the home where she was living with her mom. Then on June 1st of 2012, 2 days after the last time Brittney was last seen, Donnie had been reported missing. He was found by his wife, Wendy Holland, and a family friend named Jennifer. Him and his vehicle were found out in the middle of nowhere. They had drove 45 minutes to where he was. And authorities are really unsure about how Wendy and Jennifer even found where he was. But Donnie was found with a bullet in the back of his head, and he was running and still gurgling blood. So you would think Wendy, for sure, as this is her husband, would be saying, "Let's call 911 right now." But instead of calling 911, Wendy took his phone, deleted text messages, and Jennifer, instead of calling 911 directly to get an ambulance out there, she called a detective. Once the detective arrived, he said everything was very chaotic and there was a lot of people on the scene. He remembers seeing that Donnie had a gunshot wound to the back of his head. Donnie was then airlifted to Pensacola, Florida, to a hospital. When family got to the hospital, Wendy was trying to ask Donnie where Brittney is, and she kept asking this to him over and over. Chessie and another relative noticed that every time Brittney's name was brought up, that his brain activity would go up on the monitor. Chessie said she didn't know if this was because of guilt of what had happened, or if he was trying to tell them something, but they said he was brain dead at this point. Donnie Holland did end up passing away. Chessie said that they had bagged Donnie's hands to preserve the gunshot residue. But as they're sitting there, suddenly a doctor comes in and takes these off. The family asks, "Why are you doing this? We want to try to preserve that evidence." But the doctor says that the police had called and they ruled it as a suicide. so there's no reason to test his hands for gunshot residue or anything else. Many people, including Chessie, believe that Donnie was murdered, mainly because of the location of his gunshot wound. They said it was in the back of his head. It was kind of more like to the side right here, and then it came back out over on this side. Chessie believes that if he was going to kill himself, he would have put it up to his temple or somewhere else. And then once Donnie's vehicle was processed, his SUV was given back to his wife, Wendy, and in his vehicle was Brittney's cell phone battery. Chessie was able to say for sure this was from Brittney's phone because it had scratches from where her stepdad was trying to take her battery out of her phone and accidentally scratched it. Brittney's handgun was also found in his vehicle. One of her friends said that Brittney had purchased this handgun for her safety. On the day that Donnie was found, it was 30 minutes before he was supposed to go meet with an investigator. They were going to discuss Donnie's ongoing sex abuse investigation. And as soon as her family heard the news about what happened to Donnie, they tried to get in touch with Brittney, but she was not answering. They also tried to get in contact with her friend Courtney and any other friends that would have any idea of where she is. Once they reached Courtney, she told them that Brittney had never come over, that she actually had went to stay with Donnie that night. And on June 2nd of 2012, when her mom and family can still not get in touch with her, that's when they report Brittney as missing. Chessie said that law enforcement just did not seem that worried, but thankfully her and some family were able to go out and start searching for Brittney to see if they could find anything. And on June 6th of 2012, the family went to Donnie's home to see if they could find Brittney there or if any of her things were there. Just as her uncle was about to kick in the door, detectives pulled up. The family was not allowed inside the home as the detectives were searching for any type of leads. They did end up walking out with some of Brittney's personal items that they wanted to bring in for testing, and this also proved to them that Brittney had stayed with Donnie. But they said after running these clothes for any type of DNA, they were not able to find anything. While they were at this house, the family also noticed a brand new concrete slab that had just been poured. Chessie said it was about 4 feet wide and 6 feet long. That's when Chessie had a really bad feeling that that might be where Brittney is. And the family friend, whose name is Jennifer Moore, that was there with Wendy when Donnie allegedly committed suicide, owned this property, and she would not allow Brittney's family or the authorities to search it. There is a lot of names in this case, so I hope I'm making it very clear about who everybody is. But okay, so Wendy Holland has a twin sister named Mindy. They are Chessie's sisters and Brittney's aunts. Mindy was married to a man named Dustin Kent, and law enforcement had their theories of Dustin being involved with Brittney's disappearance, because the cell phone tower that sits in front of Chessie's house pinged Donnie's phone the night that Brittney disappeared. And Mindy and Dustin lived just around the corner from Chessie's house. So if Donnie was at their house, his phone probably pinged back to that same tower. The neighbor that lives next to Mindy and Dustin also said that one night she seen Dustin out there in the middle of the night digging a hole in their backyard. She tried calling authorities multiple times, letting them know about this and feeling as though this is very suspicious, but they have never followed up on this. And throughout the years, Chessie has gotten letters from different inmates. These letters say that Wendy admitted that Donnie did not commit suicide, and that actually Wendy had admitted to Donnie that she had done something to Brittney. So Donnie then told her that when he talked to the detectives that day, he was going to tell them what Wendy did to Brittney. That's when she shot him and then planted Brittney's gun in the car. She wanted to stage that it looked like he killed Brittney and then killed himself. I can personally see where Wendy does look very suspicious, let alone while her husband was there dying and she's more worried about deleting text messages instead of calling 911. Also, this is crazy to me. These text messages have never been recovered. These text messages could have had some type of answer to who knows what. There's a reason why she deleted those. The friend Bradley, too, has been asked what him and Brittney were talking about the night that she disappeared. All he said was that he couldn't remember and that he got a new phone. And although the battery for her phone has been found, her actual phone has never been located. So personally, I feel like there's so many different possibilities of who could have been responsible for Brittney's disappearance. And all of this led law enforcement to uncover an incestuous child abuse sex ring that none other than Donnie Holland and 3 generations of his family were in charge of. They also found out that Brittney was one of the victims. But wow, this whole case has been a whole roller coaster from the moment I started researching it. And with all the different possibilities of the places, all the different people that were involved, it's just so hard to say what actually happened. I personally do think that it's very likely that once Brittney heard that her cousin had been raped by these family members, that's when Brittney possibly planned on going to the authorities with all of the information she had. And that's when Wendy decided that she needed to stop Brittney so they didn't get into any legal trouble. Not saying that that's actually what happened, but that's just kind of my theory on what I do think happened. Wendy Holland was sentenced to 219 years in prison after being convicted of sodomy, sex abuse, and child torture. She is not eligible for parole and continues to maintain her innocence. And her husband, Donnie Holland, never faced any criminal charges because of his death. Donnie Holland Jr. was arrested on charges of second-degree rape, second-degree sexual abuse, and incest. The case against him was sealed as a result of his youthful offender status. Mandy Kent was convicted of sodomy and sexual abuse of a child under the age of 12 in 2015. She was sentenced to a maximum sentence of 40 years behind bars, and her husband, Brittney's uncle, Dustin Kent, was sentenced to 17 years in prison in November of 2015 on charges of sodomy and incest. Chessie's brother, Randall Wood, was charged with rape, sodomy, and child enticement. And then Derek, Brittney's older brother, who was also a victim of sexual abuse, took a plea deal and served 3 years in prison. He has to register as a sex offender for life. In 2013, Chessie was charged with sodomy and sexual abuse. She allegedly had sex with a child relative who was less than 12 years old at the time, although she denies all these charges. Then, a few years later, she pled guilty to get a lesser charge and is now out and has not given up on finding Brittney. I feel so sad for Brittney and for all of these kids and people that had to go through these generations of just abuse. It just makes me sick to my stomach. And I guess at least there are people that are serving the time that they deserve. But thank you so much for watching today's video. And I hope you'll comment, subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye.